The Subaru Solterra is a fully electric crossover with some adventure in mind. It's got 8.3 inches of ground clearance, it's got double X mode, and in this video we're going to test out its all-wheel drive system on the TFL slip test. We're going to get it up on the lift and see if it has any off-road hardware to back up those claims, and then we're going to get it out into some dirt to see how it performs. Alright, this is the TFL slip test. Now in this test, we get various wheels stuck on purpose in these rollers to see how the all-wheel drive system reacts to get us unstuck. And we always run the test first in standard normal mode, and then if we get stuck, we can engage X mode or even the grip control. So this is the front wheel slip test. The front wheels are stuck. Let's see if the rear wheels can push us off. Now we're nice and settled. Off of the brake, onto the throttle. Yeah, a little no difficulty. We didn't get stuck. Just nice, gentle throttle application, a little bit of slip, but the rear motor was engaged, and off we drove. Now, one thing which is a little unusual compared to a lot of other EVs on the market is the Solterra has the same size front and rear motor. And what that means is we should have a pretty even split front to back. Like if the rear wheels get stuck as they are now, the front motor should be able to pull us off no problem. Let's see if that's the case. Oh yeah, very, very good. So just a little bit of gentle throttle application and off we went. So now we've got the diagonal slip test. So the front right and the rear left are stuck, and the other ends of the cars are going to have to kind of pull their weight to get us unstuck. And what's going to happen here is the brakes are going to engage on the spinning wheels, forcing wheel speed to the wheels on the ground. That should drive us off. Now we're going to start out in normal mode. Here we go. Nice gentle throttle application, like you would do if you were stuck in the mud or the snow, and that was a good result. So a little bit of spinning, and then it drove off. But let's try it one more time with an X mode engaged. Now we have a couple of different X modes. Well, let's go first into the standard snow and dirt X mode and see if there's any difference there. Okay, so it felt like a quicker traction control intervention, and then we came down in the snow and the dirt, and we got one more we can try. We're gonna go into the deep snow and mud mode and see if there's any difference here. All right, even better. So it felt like even more aggressive intervention, and we drove right down. All right, now for the much harder test. Now for the three-wheeled slip test, three wheels are stuck in the rollers, only the right rear is on the ground. This is a very difficult test. Being nice and gentle with the throttle application. It's easy to launch off the other end with these instant torques of the EV. So we're gonna start out in normal mode. Come on, right rear. You gotta start moving if we're gonna get unstuck. Nothing. Not enough traction control intervention. All right, let's go into the X mode, snow and dirt setting. Come on, figure it out. It's working at it. Doesn't feel very good. Doesn't feel like there's enough torque transfer to that wheel on the ground. Let's try the deep snow and mud mode. Okay, well, we're getting a lot more wheel spinning, but that's not what we need. We need deliberate activation of the brakes to get us unstuck. So let's try the grip control. And we're gonna go into deep snow and mud, grip control on low. Now we're talking. Now we're seeing some movement. That's on the highest setting of grip control. Come on, figure it out. Oh, it's working it. Feel the brakes grabbing. Come on. It's not happy. It really is not happy. It feels like the best mode even still is the standard snow and dirt mode. We'll give that one more go. Okay. Wow, that was a fight. So we tried snow and dirt, worked okay. We tried the deep snow, which had a lot more spin, but less traction control, torque vectoring. That didn't work very well. Grip control, we're getting a lot of this, but not a lot of torque transfer. And then back to one more time, the standard X mode, and we got out. But that was a fight, guys. That was working pretty hard. test. We did one rear on the ground, now we're doing one front on the ground, the left front. That's all that has contact. We're going right into the X mode, starting with the snow and dirt mode, because that proved to be the best in the last test. That left front's gonna have to work its magic. Okay, there we go. So yeah, that was better than the rear, I have to say. So even though the motors, in theory, have the same output, it feels like the front activation's a little stronger than the rear from my seat of the pants experience. Also felt that way kind of on the first initial two-wheel slip test. Now, you're probably wondering, how does this compare to a gasoline Subaru? Well, I had a chance to test out the Forester Wilderness on this same test, and we'll include some of those results right now. Front wheels are stuck in the rollers, nice and settled. Into drive, foot off the brake, onto the accelerator, and you can see absolutely incredible results. We've got the diagonal slip test, so the front left wheel stuck in the roller, so is the rear right. In the drive, nice and gentle on the throttle. Okay, so that was normal mode. And you could see we were able to get unstuck. The snow and dirt X mode onto the accelerator. Oh, interesting. So much faster result. Really good wheel speed transfer on the left. I think we actually broke the tire loose. I'm engaging the deep snow and mud mode into drive. Oh, wow, look at that. Now this is where things get really interesting. So this is a three-wheel slip test. Both rear wheels are stuck. Left front is stuck. Only the right front has traction. Starting in normal mode. Into drive. Out of the accelerator. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we're a little bit stuck, but that's before we engage the X mode. So first X mode. See, do we see a difference? More traction control intervention. Okay, there you go. So we actually got a lot of torque transfer. It actually shifted the whole vehicle sideways, but in the first X mode, we were able to get unstuck on that first test. I want to try it one more time. We're going to use the deep snow mode though, see if that makes a difference. Into drive, let's see if there's a difference. Wow, oh yeah, huge difference. So what's happening is, I'm actually really impressed. So the vehicle's shifting off the rollers, and it's not because like we're on a slant or anything, but it's because there's so much torque being transferred to that wheel on the ground. It's spinning, and then it's shifting the whole vehicle around. So, I mean, big difference, right? Obviously, this Forester is the Wilderness trim, and there is no Wilderness version of the Solterra, but hopefully Subaru will come out with one soon so we can get it out on the rollers. Now back to the Solterra review. The Subaru Solterra is, of course, a sister car to the Toyota BZ4X, and as such, it shares many of the interior components. I would actually go as far as to say the vast majority. So the steering wheel, the gauge cluster are straight from Toyota, as is the infotainment system. Now this particular model is the entry-level Solterra. It comes in at just a tick over $46,000 as configured, and it has an 8-inch touchscreen display with the Toyota operating system. It has this funky little shifter, which allows you to change between park versus neutral drive. It's got a few hard buttons here, a nice sized cubby, a good sized center console, and these rather comfortable cloth seats. I have to say, these are nice cloth seats. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. $46,000 is just a tick under the starting price of a dual motor Model Y. And that's going to come in at just over $48,000. That's going to give you over 300 miles of EPA range. It's also going to give you a nicer interior and a lot better charging. But we'll talk about that a little later. Now, it's worth noting the Solterra and the BZ4X are very similar vehicles. There are some exterior differences, but for the most part, they're largely the same car. Trunk size is actually very impressive. So we have a nice 60-40 split here on the rear seats. They fold nearly completely flat. We got about 24 cubic feet worth of space back here. The car does come included with your standard level 1 EVSE, and then underneath the floor we've got a lot of junk in this particular one, but we do have a storage space and no spare tire available. With the Solterra up on the lift, we can take a look at some of its engineering. Now, of course, this is a dual motor setup, one motor in the front, one motor in the rear. It's rated for a total of 218 horsepower. Now, it is worth noting there is no front trunk in the Solterra. We lift it up and it's just a ton of wires. Now, as we look at the suspension here, we've got a strut-style front suspension here with a steel lower control arm. Subaru says that this vehicle is 8.3 inches of ground clearance, which is ever so slightly higher than what Toyota advertises is for the BZ4X sister car. They also say they've tuned the suspension for adventure use. Now moving back, of course we have a completely flat bottom on the Solterra. This is a 72 and a bit kilowatt hour battery, closer to 73 kilowatt hour battery. Of course, it's manufactured abroad, so this vehicle does not apply for the federal $7,500 tax credit, although you do get the incentive if you lease this vehicle. And then moving back toward the rear of the car, we find a double wishbone independent rear suspension as well. Now there's not a whole lot to talk about underneath here. Of course there is some protection to keep that battery nice and safe, but it's a pretty on-road oriented suspension if you ask my opinion. Nothing is super overbuilt, functional, great for the snow, but like I'm not sure you'd want to take your Solterra rock crawling if that didn't need to be said. So we do have to talk about some numbers surrounding the Solterra, and this is where things kind of start to fall apart. Now, as equipped, this Solterra is right around $46,615. Now for a couple $1,000s more, just under 49 grand, you can get yourself a Tesla Model Y dual motor. And here's the thing, that car is going to be a lot quicker than the Subaru. It also has a lot more range on paper, over 300 miles. It also charges far better, and it's only a couple $1,000s more expensive. Plus, the Subaru doesn't qualify for the federal $7,500 tax credit. So things kind of fall apart. And even if you compare this vehicle to like a Volkswagen ID4, you know, the base model, the Pro all-wheel drive, which is more expensive than this vehicle, but that offers kind of some more range, it offers better charging. So the Subaru just doesn't really make a lot of sense on paper in a lot of ways, but it does lease really well. That is one thing, and you can get the credit from leasing this vehicle. Really some attractive lease rates on Solterras, I have to say. Now this is the Trenches off-road course. We got these divots cut into the earth to test the real-world application of the slip test. And the first thing we're gonna do, let's make sure we're in the right drive mode for this. So we're gonna start out in normal mode, and then we'll run it through the different X modes as well to see if there's a difference. So this is the normal mode. Wheels are spinning, but the brakes grabbed. You just lift it up. 2 wheels, offset wheels. This is called a split muse situation in engineering terms. Yeah, pretty good. Even in normal mode, it's gripping quite nicely. We got good accelerator pedal response. I almost said throttle, but it doesn't have a throttle because it's electric. Ground clearance feels like it's okay. Doesn't feel like we're scraping on much. Now this version that we're driving is rolling on the 18-inch wheels, which is definitely helping us. You know, we got that nice kind of fat sidewall. Now granted, this is just a standard all-season tire on this car. If you wanted more capability, you should upgrade to like an all-terrain or at least a rugged terrain. But yeah, we made it up trenches fairly easily in the Solterra. I was actually quite impressed with that. I haven't had a chance to test the BZ4X through that course, but if I do have a chance to, I'd like to see how the Toyota performs in comparison. But now we're gonna go up the same course, but with the X mode engaged in the snow and the dirt mode, which proved to be the most effective on the rollers. And let's see how that works. Now, the whole purpose of this test is to take it nice and slow, get the vehicle really off kilter on purpose. We don't want to take it with a ton of speed because that kind of is not representative of how the all-wheel drive system works, but we're taking it nice and easy. Oh yeah, much quicker traction control activation in X mode. Actually doing really quite well. Quite pleased with the performance so far. It gets much harder at the top of the trenches course. Of course, completely silent. Nice, nice gradual kind of response too from the accelerator pedal. Oh yeah, so that was even better. Certainly a big improvement over the first run. One good thing I have to say about the Solterra, as you would find in the BZ4X, you do have a great suite of standard safety features like adaptive cruise, like lane centering, like blind spot monitoring. All that's going to come standard in the Solterra, as is all-wheel drive. In the US market, at least, it's going to be standard. Now, this vehicle not only has the deep snow and mud, which didn't seem to do very well on the rollers, but it also has grip mode, and that's what I want to try here. So we're going to go into grip mode. Let's try it in the low setting first. This is kind of like Toyota's crawl control. It's a feet off the pedal off-road cruise control that's supposed to give you the most possible grip in tough situations. Okay, did pretty well there, I have to say. This is in the lowest setting, but if we get stuck, we can speed it up. Letting the car do all the work. I'm not touching the skinny pedal at all. I'm just steering it. A little jerky there. That could have been smoother. Okay, it's struggling on that one. Wow, it just launched itself on that mogul. Okay, let me try speeding it up a setting. Okay, it's not super refined. Oh, okay, all right, come on. Well, it worked in the grip mode, but it was a little sketchy. Didn't feel great. I find the best way to drive the Solterra off-road is in the snow and dirt mode, at least for a mogul section like that. Seems to do the best. But we made it up, and actually I have to say I'm pretty impressed with the all-wheel drive system. Look, there's a lot of faults of this car, including slow charging, not a lot of range, 228 miles of EPA rated range, just not very good. It's even less if you get the upper end trims. It's gonna drop down to about 222. But off-road, it's okay. Let's go try charging it. I wanna run it through a DC charger, see how that works. So we just brought the Solterra to this Electrify America station. This is a BTC power unit with a 500 amp max rating. Plugged in at 31%, and we are drawing 34 kilowatts. That is terrible. And there's very little you can do with this car to precondition the battery for charging, and the peak charge rate is 100. When you consider that the Tesla products, well over 200 kW max, the eGMP cars like the Kia EV6 and the Hyundai Ioniq 5, well over 200 kilowatt max, and yet the Solterra here, 100. And currently we're pulling 35. It's 179 minutes to 100%. I don't even want to go to 100, I just want to go to 80, and it's going to be a long wait. 34 kilowatts now. Look guys, this car would be incredible at the price of a Crosstrek. Like low 30s, I could totally see the value here. 228 miles of range, great to drive around, doink around in the city. It's got a good all-wheel drive system, pretty nice interior, that kind of thing. But at 46 grand, there are better alternatives, especially if you want to just spend a few grand more for like a long-range Model Y all-wheel drive, even an ID4 all-wheel drive. They're just way better options. So this car is a great car to buy used. It's because it's going to depreciate pretty quick, I believe. It's also a good car to lease, but to buy, probably just go elsewhere, even though the all-wheel drive system is pretty good. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. This has been Tommy behind the camera case. We'll see you in another video.